Welcome. Have a seat. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon, the agent. I'm glad that you're all here today. Today is Friday, June 26th, 2026. And time is flying, y'all, because it'll be July next week. And more than half of the year is gone. But I thank you all, as always, for joining me. Now, and if you haven't already, and if you're not following me on all social media platforms, please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. I thank you all for joining me. And as always, I like to get into the wonderful world of real estate. Now, today I'm going to talk about real estate is not national, real estate is local. And the reason why I want to talk about this, because a lot of times people tend to look at things like HGTV. They tend to listen to what's on social media. They tend to look at the national news, and then they always lump everything into one particular category. But what people don't seem to always grasp is real estate is always local, and it's always about location, location, location. Now, here in the DMV, we have DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And they are touching each other, like depending on where you live at, but also depending on where you live at is going to determine what the value is of the home and also determine how homes are selling. Now, truth be told, right now, everybody's saying it's a buyer's market. But let's be honest, is it really a buyer's market, or is it that just something people are repeating on social media? Now, I say that to also say that you got to be careful of where your resources come from, because everybody is not expert. As a real estate professional who's been in this game for going on 21 years, I can actually tell you that things change all the time. And I always like to say that the market changes with every season. You know, we have spring, summer, fall, winter. And what people don't understand is the market changes with every season. Just because someone bought a house 7 months ago doesn't mean that when you particularly buy a house, it's going to be the same terms and condition, or that it also will be to the point where things are actually the same. Programs don't stay the same. Interest rates doesn't stay the same. Nothing stays the same. Just like we all know that you don't stay the same. You don't look the same way you do today as you did maybe 2 years ago. And even with your cell phones, the software has to be updated. Things change. They come out with a new iPhone every year. But let's talk more so about real estate. Now, in our areas, buyers may feel like they have more choices, but prices are still holding strong in many places in this particular area, because the Bright MLS, which all real estate professionals in this particular area use, has reported that the Mid-Atlantic medium sold price reached $450,000 in May of 2026, which was last month. That is a 3.4% increase from last year. So yes, buyers have more room than before, but that does not automatically mean prices are crashing. And I also like to use an example like that, like between this year and last year, it's gone up 3.4%. This is why I tell people don't focus on the interest rate, because let's think about this. Last year, the interest rate was hovering around 6 to 7%. Right now, it's still hovering around 6.5%. Now, while people are waiting on interest rate to go down, prices are going up. And this is why I tend to say that real estate is local and not national, because you have to pay attention to what's going on in your particular area for you to get all the valuable resources to actually know that, you know, what's best for you is really locally, not national, unless you plan on moving somewhere real far and real cheap. But nowadays, nothing seems cheap anymore. So, you know, it's like finding a 4-leaf cloth, you know, and a pot of gold. Now, here's the other thing. This is what I want to explain, that in like this area, and really depends on, like, buyers have leverage when homes have problems, but it depends on the number of days the house has been sitting on the market. Depends on if the photos are bad. Depends on if the house needs work. If the seller has overpriced the home. There are a lot of variable factors whenever a person is buying. But if you think that, oh, let me automatically just lowball an offer and it just came on the market, you will be unpleasantly surprised because it really depends. You know, um, in some cases, sellers still have leverage when a house is presented right. You know, means when the house shows well, the marketing is strong, access is easy, and it is not overpriced. Trust me, there are a lot of buyers who are jumping for certain particular homes. A lot of buyers nowadays don't want to do a lot of work. This is why in DC, for example, there are two major kind of buyers in DC. There are like the investor buyers who are looking for everything that they can fix up, anything that they can lowball, and anything where a seller is extremely motivated. They really want somebody who's desperate. They just use the word extremely motivated. And you have the people who also buy in DC who want homes that they don't have to do any work. If they feel like they have to do any type of major work, it can be minor sometimes, just like paint. They don't want to get it. And those houses will tend to sit. And a lot of times investors will bypass those because they are priced too high for the investors, but they need too much work for the regular buyer. So that's why in some cases with the homes in DC that they're actually sitting on the market, because those houses tend to be overpriced because a lot of sellers tend to think that their house is comparable to the house that are actually renovated when they're not. And again, a lot of investors are looking for fixer uppers in DC so they can renovate and they can maximize their dollar amount. Now, it really depends on your strategy. It depends on your real estate goals. A lot of these factors, come into play when you are either a buyer or a seller. But if you don't understand the terms of pricing, if you don't understand the market, if you listen to your friends and people and think that everybody are professionals who ain't selling anything, then you will be sadly disappointed because that's what people tend to do. A lot of times people tend to, oh, let me look at HGTV. Let me listen to my uncle who held a real estate license 8 years ago. Let me listen to my girlfriend who just bought a house 50 miles away, and which the market is totally different. You have to really understand that real estate is about local, 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 not national, not what somebody bought 6 months ago, not what somebody who's telling you something, not what HGTV is actually saying. And if you don't understand this, and if you listen to everybody on social media who's telling you things, because everybody's an expert, you don't know that those people who are speaking, they might be in New Jersey, they might be in Texas, Florida, LA, New York, who knows where they're at. But my point that I keep emphasizing is real estate is not national. Real estate is local. And once you can completely understand that and get a grasp for that, then you'll understand how things can work for you, whether you're on the buying side or the selling side. It's just that simple. And if you don't remember, I know you heard this before, that real estate is always local, local, local. All right. Now, to understand that in more in depth, I hope that you'll get a clear and conscious understanding of what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm going to be back with my house of the week. And I think you all are going to like this. It's not just a house, it is a farm. That picture behind me. All right, y'all. I hope y'all can see this. This is the house of the week. This is a farm, you all, that I am selling. This one is in Preston, Maryland, which is in Caroline County, Maryland, which is actually headed up north, way past Baltimore, headed towards Pennsylvania. Now, this is a nice piece of property. Okay. I want you to take a look at the pictures of it. It is a chicken farm, but you can also grow, vegetables on there, whatever you want. You see those four large chicken barns. And guess what? This house also has a mobile home on it. It also has a house on it, along with all those land. And guess what? This is 38.13 acres of land. Now, I know someone out there really wants to own a farm because The prices in the grocery stores are extremely high these days. But if you have the means, the know-hows, the skills, or the will, this could be a perfect farm for you. Take a look at it, y'all. And we are going to take a look on the inside of that house, which is right there. Then some recent updates, renovations done to the home. Now the home is actually a 4-bedroom, 3.5-bath home. I mean, the home alone is nice. But keep in mind, this is a farm. It is priced currently at $1.5 million. Now, here's the thing. If you run a farm right, I don't care where you at nowadays, if you can run a farm right, you can make a lot of money in a year's time. Depends on how you're running it. Depends on what you're selling. You know, you getting chickens, and this farm actually get chickens from Purdue. So I just say all that to say is, to anyone who's thought about owning a farm, hey, now's your opportunity. That's the picture behind me, the farm. All right, let me get into my Q&A, which is my questions and answers. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them to me, because no question is a dumb question. All right. All right. So the first question of the day is, can someone own property but still have restrictions on what they can do with it? Can someone own property and still have restrictions on what you can do with it? And the answer to that question is yes. Ownership does not mean unlimited control. You know, yes, you can own a home, but your rights may still be limited by things like zoning laws, HOA rules, condo rules, easement, historic district requirements, building permits, environmental rules, or deed restrictions. Now, this is crucial. For example, if anyone specifically living in a HOA, a townhouse or condo community, you're very limited, and a lot of things have to go past the association. Like, for example, I know some people who own trucks. Some HOA communities don't allow trucks. This is why it's very critical that you have to find out what the bylaws are and also know what restrictions you can. And even if you don't, let's say hypothetically you live in a place where you have a single family home, that does not mean you can do whatever you want. Like, for example, a person might say, oh, I want to build a science lab on my property. You can't do what you want to do. Ownership, again, does not mean unlimited control. There are restrictions. So yes, you can own a home and have restrictions on it. Question number 2. How much influence do online reviews have? How much influence does online reviews have? I would say online reviews have a lot of influence. And the reason being is, a lot of times, let's think about like a restaurant, for example. You ever go to a restaurant, pull up the Google review, and based off the review, you say, oh, I'm not going into that restaurant? Well, the same thing happens in real estate. You know, I think currently right now I have a 5.0 review. I do recall one time I had a bad review. It was someone who was disappointed that their house didn't sell, but they did not follow the recommendations that I gave. So they wanted to do everything their way. And then when things didn't work out their way, they wanted to blame me. They gave me a review, and I commented on a review. And I pointed out that specific, because no one's perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. And then they deleted the review. So I say that to say that online reviews have a lot of influence, because I've also gotten business because of my reviews online. If you don't know, go to Google reviews or Zillow and type in my name, Damon Brockenberry, and read the reviews that I've had. Now, in real estate, reviews can help buyers and sellers decide whether an agent, lender, contractor, inspector, or title company seems trustworthy. But reviews should not be the only thing people rely on. A 5-star review is good, but experience, communication, professionalism, market knowledge, and honesty matter. And then a lot of times I always like to tell people to hold a conversation, because here's the thing. Sometimes you'll speak to a person and you don't like the vibe that you get. You don't like the conversation, period. Or you might like the vibe conversation, because depends on the person. Some people are extremely salesy. Some people are not personable, where others are very personable and stuff. So you really have to do online review are today's word of mouth. They can open a door, but they should not be the only reason you choose someone. Reviews tell you what people felt, but you still need to look at experience, communication, results, and whether that person is the right fit for your situation. Number 3, has social media helped or hurt buyers? Have social media helped or hurt buyers? It has done both. Social media has helped and it has hurt buyers and sellers. Social media has helped buyers by giving them access to more information, listings, market updates, home tours, design ideas, and financing tips. But it also hurts some buyers by creating unrealistic expectations. A buyer may see a 30-second video saying buy a house with no money, but they do not hear about credit, debt, income, closing costs, inspections, appraisals, taxes, insurance, or whether they actually qualify. Social media has helped buyers become more aware, but it has also confused a lot of people. The problem is not the information, it is missing the content. A short video may make buying look easy, but real estate still requires preparation, money management, credit, paperwork, timing, and professional guidance. See, that's the key. A lot of times people think that they can do things on their own. Let me give you an example. I had a lady years ago. She was looking to buy a home. She had a coworker who was going online, going on Zillow, said, "Oh, you don't need a realtor," and stuff. He had been looking for a home for over a year, still had not found the home. She came to me. We went out after she got approved. We went out. She found the home in one day. In 1 month, she went to settlement. While her coworker was still looking for a home over a year, he didn't have the proper guidance. See, there are some people out here who are so-called know-it-all. They think they can do everything because, again, of the information that's provided online through Google, that's provided through HDTV. So people think they're professional. They think, oh, they know all the things. But what they fail to realize is it's always a step or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that's missing out of the equation. Because everything you see on there doesn't tell you everything you need to know. This is why sometimes with for sale by owners, they can't sell their own property. They don't want to pay a commission to a real estate professional, but some of them miss the step. They don't get the exposure and they don't do everything properly. Therefore, sometimes they come back with a legal backlash. Oops, I hit something. I'm sorry. They come back with a legal. Let me see. I'm making sure I'm not sharing. Okay. They come back with a legal backlash. And then when they get into legal trouble, they'll find out that the commission that they thought they saved, they end up paying more when they have to pay a lawyer based off the information that they do not have. So a lot of times they don't have that information. Again, question number 4. How much responsibility do agents have to educate clients? How much responsibility do agents have to educate clients? Here's the thing. All agents have a major responsibility to educate their clients. Major. Because here's the thing. If clients don't know, what is the reason that they have that agent? The agent is supposed to inform them, give them information so they're not so that they do not get into any legal trouble. You know, like we are like, for example, when people go into the courts and they have a lawyer, we are like the lawyers in real estate represent them, even though we're not a lawyer. Okay, we're representing them. A good agent should not just open doors or just put up a sign in the yard. A good agent should explain the process, the risk, the paperwork, the timeline, the market, the numbers, and the decisions the clients need to make. That does not mean the agent replaces the lender, attorney, title company, inspector, or accountant, but the agent should help the client understand when those professionals are needed and why. An agent's job is not just to sell. An agent's job is to guide, educate, protect, and prepare their client. Clients should never feel they are signing documents blindly. They should understand what they are doing what could go wrong and what their options are and what they are signing. They need to have a clear understanding of these steps because that's the reason for their agent. Again, to help them understand, because a lot of times, like I explained before, with the missing steps, if they do not have the right steps, if they skip a step, if they take shortcuts or cut corners, it could be critical or crucial to them. Question number 5. What's the difference between owning a property and having clear title to a property? What's the difference between owning a property and having clear title to the property? Owning property means you have ownership interest in it. Okay. Having clear title means that the ownership is legally clean and can be transferred without any major issues. This is why when you buy or sell a house, title companies are involved. And the reason why title companies are involved is to make sure that you have clear title, that the property can be transferred from the seller to the new buyer without any issues or without any title issues. A person may believe they own a property, but the title could have problems: unpaid taxes, liens, judgments, old mortgages, probate issues, missing heirs, divorce claims, contractor liens, or recording errors. This is why title searches and title insurance are so important. They help confirm who has legal rights to the property and whether anything is attached to it. Owning a property and having clear title are not always the same thing. Ownership means you have the rights to the property. Clear title means those rights are clean, documented, and transferable. You can own something and still have title problems that might be fixed before you can sell, refinance, or transfer it. Real estate is not just about who has the keys, it's about rights, restrictions, responsibility, and clear ownership. This is why education matters before, doing, and after every transaction. And this is why choosing a real estate professional such as myself is very critical. If you don't know, like I said earlier, you can Google me, you can go to Zillow, you can check out my reviews, you can go to my website, DamonTheAgent.com. But these things matter and they're very critical to you. I'll be back with my topic of the day. All right, now before I go into my topics of the day, like I said in the beginning, if you are not following me, please follow me on all social media platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram. Hold on. I'm sorry. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Threads, Twitter, and Snapchat. All right, y'all. Today's topic is, what about your friends? I'm not going to make this long. I'm going to keep it relatively short. But the question is, what about your friends? Like, who are your friends? Do you really have friends? You know, the thing is, though, is we rely so much in people these days, but do people really have your back? Do you really have true friends? Are they there for you when things go wrong? Listen, I'm not trying to tell you what to do and everything, but I also want to say this: to everybody, you think your friends ain't your friends. You know, we've heard that from our parents many times and stuff. But I've seen friends who are so-called friends stab people in their back, betray them, lie to them, sleep with their significant other or whomever, steal from them, even kill them. So what about your friends? Do you really have friends? Is what I'm saying. And if you do have friends and genuine good friends, please appreciate and value them, because everybody out here ain't trustworthy. You know, there are so many fake people in the world today, it's ridiculous, you know, and you have to really be mindful and really think about who are your so-called friends, because the truth be told, most people you know are really associates. They are not your friends. They're really associates. When things go wrong, when things go bad and stuff, these so-called friends are going to ghost you. They, you know, if you don't believe me, text 3 people and say, I need a favor. Just say, I need a favor, and see how long they take to reply back. And then after they reply back, just say, where you at? I just need you. Are you able to come, pick me up? Say something simple like that. I ain't even talk about money. Just say, are you able to come pick me up? And they're going to say, where you at? And say somewhere far, like about 30 plus minutes away, and see how they respond. Oh, I can't right now and stuff like that. If they don't offer to get you an Uber, offer to send you some money, even if they can't, or offer to come to see you, them ain't no real friends. I'm just telling you. You really find out who people are when you go through life, because life is going to life for everybody and going to test everyone. Life is not perfect. I don't care what you see on social media. Everybody you think living that good life, traveling, eating good and good. Everybody ain't living a perfect life. People got issues out there. Everybody. I got issues too. I got more tax issues than anything right now because I'm dealing with the IRS and the state of Maryland. That's mainly my issue right now because a couple of years ago, I didn't pay the taxes. I had the money. I just didn't pay them. So they mess with me. But I'm going to take care of my issue. But the point that I'm trying to say is you need to find out who your real friends are, because there are so many people under conniving and switching up on people. And here's the thing: we could always determine who's really there for us, because like I said, our parents told us everybody you think your friend ain't your friend. You don't believe me? Just if life ain't showed you already, you're gonna find out. And I'm not saying to test these people just to do it. I'm just saying, what about your friends? Do you really have friends? When you need something, are they there? Do they show up? Do they even make an effort? Do they make more of an effort than they do making more of excuses? Because everybody think they got friends until things happen. And you find out the people you thought were your friends weren't really your friends, and the people that you didn't look at as your friends were really your friends. So again, what about your friends? Will they be around? you know I'm just saying, everybody ain't your friend. So the ones who love you the most, the ones who love you and close, you really should cherish them, because in this thing called life, you're going to find out that sometimes it's better to have a friend in the end than to have um someone that you thought was there for you, and find out when you really need them that they're not there for you. It's too many people who've been disappointed like that. Just like I just saw yesterday, LeVar Barr, he was with his wife for 30 years, married to her for 30 years. So that means he was with her a little longer. Married to her for 30 years, and she decided to divorce him because she wanted to go do something else now. Now, let's give a little history. A couple of years ago in 2017, she had a stroke. He was there for her. He stayed there with her and everything. He, in 2025, got his right foot amputated. Now she want to leave. And he said that even back then when she had a stroke, even though she was getting old and she had the stroke, she was always beautiful to him. And what I say by that, meaning that sometimes the people closest to you, such as your spouse, you think are really there for you, and they don't really care for you. They're either there for convenience, kids, financial reasons, or whatever. And when life like it's going to for everyone, because don't think you excluded from things happening, because if it haven't, it's going to. It's just called life. It's inevitable, just like taxes and death. Certain things are inevitable. But only thing that I'm saying is, what about your friends? Are your friends really your friends? Or are these just people trying to be close to you because they nosy, or they trying to learn you, or get some information from you, or get something from you and everything? That's the only reason why they come around. I mean, you'll never know, because people ain't gonna never tell you what they thinking. But I like to share what I'm thinking, and that was the topic of the day. What about your friends? All right. Quick recap, y'all. Now, I talked about real estate is not national, real estate is local. Please keep that in mind. It's always location, location, location when it pertains to real estate. And I also want you to think about this, y'all. Do you have at least one true friend that if everything fell, that if you fell on your bad times today, that they will be trying to help you? Or do you got people who will make excuses and they going to ghost you because they don't want to be bothered? Because it seems nowadays more people are quick to turn their back on people than to actually be there for people. So start questioning who your friends are. And sometimes it's better to be alone than to be in a crowd, because in a crowd is always going to be chaos and confusion. Being alone is always going to be peace. Okay? It's going to be peace when you're by yourself. It's going to be peace when you have true friends, a true friend, not even a whole bunch of people. You don't need a big crowd. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ever notice, whenever there's a crowd of people, it's always chaos and confusion. Fights break out. People start shooting. Somebody always gets hurt when it's a big crowd. The smaller the people are and stuff like that, the crowd is, the better the peace is. So again, what about your friends, people? You think about that and everything. And just remember that if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, I'm your guy. Check out this commercial. I like this commercial. This commercial a little old, but I love playing it, y'all. And then I'm going to see y'all next week. No, I'm not going to see y'all next week because next week is the Friday before the 4th of July. I'm going to see y'all the week after that on July 10th. But I'm going to take you out with this commercial. Have a good one.
We sure could use the money.
Time for some upgrades. We're pregnant.
Oh my goodness. I need to downsize.
We buy houses for cash as is.
Damon the Agent. A name you can trust.